Hi, I'm Jason Gorman. We're here to look at a couple cool pair of headphones from Sudio. Sudio is a Scandinavian company, Swedish-based company. They've been around about 10 years, and they've really hit the sweet spot in terms of designing things that are very attractive, very easy to use, and very cost-effective for in terms of level of performance. We're looking at their some of their newest models. These are the two N2s, Nancy 2. One is the Sudio N2 by itself. That's the one that's sort of in this purplish color. And then one is the N2 Pro. And we'll sort of look at what the difference is between the two of them. When you open them up, they use this all-paper packaging to be a little bit more environmentally conscious. Inside, I've taken, actually have the earphones out, but they sort of sit here. And inside, you know, your usual sort of case. We have our ye old earphones. They do have a little bit of a rubbery thing on the front, which is nice. Makes it a little bit comfortable if that's what you want to be doing. But as it goes, they can actually go directly. They go directly into the ear with this little sort of plastic covering, and that sort of does what it needs to do. Same thing with this side. We have this little sort of flap that can come off, and then the earphone itself can go directly. And I know this is probably a little bit of a challenge to see, but you can see these are these sort of usual sort of plasticky in-eary things that just go in and do the trick. And they're comfortable. They sort of fit in. They're not quite as sort of customizable in terms of what you can do in terms of the ear ports, because this is a hard plastic, but there's a nice sort of metal band here, some microphones at the bottom, and you know, certainly does the trick. Inside the case, there's a USB-C charging port on the side, and they just, you know, plop directly into the case. They're nice, magnetically held. You can see upside down, not falling out. Very nice, very robust. We'll get to some of the features of that, but let's look at the sort of sister version, as it were, the quote-unquote pro version of the similar thing. Very much structured in very similar ways. The difference between the two of them really comes down to certain functionalities, but also the form factor. So again, we have another sort of black case. You can see the case size difference isn't so much. And inside this case is a series of earphones. Again, very similar sort of ergonomically designed case, but these ones have rubber earphone tips. So these sort of more customizable tips, which I greatly prefer. As these go in, much clearer implication about what it can actually go in. Very similar in terms of functionality, in terms of the touch on the side, but just immediately as soon as they go in, I just find that the Pro model much more comfortable thanks to these replaceable sort of rubber gaskety things on the side. Inside, at the bottom of the Pro case, inside, hidden in the Pro case, right, so in the little sleeve that it has, we have, of course, a USB-A to USB-C cable, as per usual for these, no charger, but we have a tiny little USB-A to USB-C cable, which is great. Getting a nice little collection of these, but yeah, you have replacement ear pads, which of course not part of the other non-Pro version. The lid itself is, of course, holds charge itself. Like, these actually are batteries, and so in terms of listening time, you have X number of hours for the earphones, then you put them back in the case. The case itself does the charge. And on the back, it actually shows some of the functional differences. I'm just sort of reading directly from the back. So the Sudio N2, the purpley ones, which again, these come in a variety of colors, but the purpley ones, just for the sake of our delineation here, open ear fit, as discussed, multi-point connection, meaning that it can connect to multiple devices, etc. IPX splash proof, which is good. It's like the sort of sort of at least the level of general splash proof / sweat / just getting a little bit of water on them that you would expect for water resistance. Perforated silicone sleeves, those are the sleeves that it showed, so if you actually want to have the sleeves there for even more protection. Up to 6 hours playtime and 30 hours in total. So the way that it's calculated again is that if you keep putting it back and charging, it'll do the trick. And it's probably really challenging to see, but there's a blinking light there that actually shows that the Sudio itself is charging. Now on the back, on these ones, right, these are the, again, I think I talked about, these are the little silicone sort of sleevey things for them if you want. On the back of the N2 Pro, we have in-ear earbuds, wireless charging, active noise cancellation. So the N2 Pro actually has noise cancellation in the way that the Sudio N2 does not. Water resistance, IPX4, so similar water resistance. Multi-point Bluetooth connection is discussed, and up to 6 hours playtime, 30 hours total. So really the difference that you're getting between these two are two specific functionalities, or at least one ergonomic functionality and one sort of real-world functionality, namely that that happen to be the black ones, the Pro model, actually have noise cancellation. Noise cancellation is okay. I find a lot of times with noise cancellation that the sound itself basically becomes equalized, or you have this sort of weird sucking sensation in your eardrums. If you've ever felt it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's kind of hard to describe. But nonetheless, there are times where noise cancellation is truly beneficial, especially obviously if you're on a flight or if you're in transit or stuff like that. But I find simply being constructed this way with these little rubbery things, they do a better job of sealing your ear canal, and I think this is I've said this before, but I think this is an underappreciated part. The form and the function of the earphones themselves, in terms of passive noise cancellation, actually does a tremendous amount to actually ameliorate the need for noise cancellation itself. Of course, you can turn it on and off, but it's nice to just without it on, you're still preventing some sound getting in the way that some other form factors don't. In terms of the sound signature, very similar. The Sudio is a little bit thinner, a little bit less bombastic. The N2 Pro definitely has a very bass heavy presentation, I found. Lots of high, lots of bass. I mean, that's the way a lot of earphones of this sort of what it's aiming for, because a lot of people listen with these kind of earphones. They're not doing necessarily super critical listening. They're just wanting stuff on the go, or just, you know, listening to stuff. And so much pop music now is very, very trebly and very, very bassy. There's the sort of warm mid-range is not really what a lot of things are tuned for. And again, I know it seems counterintuitive, especially because that's that, like, you know, like, why don't you just build earphones that just show all frequencies? Well, every device, every audio device in some ways is tuned to a specific taste. The engineers actually go and have certain frequencies that work better than other frequencies, simply because if you have all frequencies working all at once, this actually becomes a real challenge to get it all right. Therefore, the expense goes up. Therefore, you're running into all kinds of issues. For something like this, that's sort of giving you from a really small package enough punch. Certainly if you're listening to bass heavy tracks, you're going to feel this with the Pro mode. A little bit less than this. In funny ways, I think that the non-Pro probably overall has a slightly more neutral sound, but because the Pros are more comfortable, because they have additional functionality, they're probably the way that I would go. Either way, I think that the Sudio N2s are definitely earphones for you to take a listen to. I think that they are attractively designed. The functionality does basically what you would want it to do. If you compare these to other earphones within a similar price range, I think that they sort of bat above their weight, as it were. And I definitely think that it's worthwhile you giving a shot to these to see if they fit with your listening style and your lifestyle. Thanks so much for watching. Let us know in the comments what you think of these, and we will see you next video. All the best. Take care.